As you probably guessed from the title, I believe Asmongold is wrong about VR. Now, before you bash me into oblivion for daring to utter such blasphemy, as a nobody VTuber no less, let me explain why I feel this way. I'm not an Asmon hater, and I actually enjoy most of his content, but when it comes to VR, he is disregarding this technology and platform, most likely because of a negative prior experience or a misconception. I will try to explain how I come to this conclusion and let you judge for yourself. But first, let me tell you why I even decided to make this video. In his reaction to the Future Game Show Summer Showcase 2025, Asmongold almost had a mental breakdown when an upcoming VR game named Reach was presented in the show.
Is it VR? I don't know if it's VR. Is it VR? Shit, I think it's VR.
I'm ready for whatever.
Oh!
You won't find nobody.
Oh! Oh!
To you weather. You ready?
Ah!
Coming in high. I'm a legend in the making. You're looking into the eyes of greatness.
It's time
That's
to check
the real
in with everybody's
DEI in
favorite
these
depressed
shows.
and recently
Is
divorced
adding in
guy.
these VR games.
Yes. It could only be.
It's
the
not
duck
even black
detective.
people
He
anymore.
may
It's
have
VR
cracked
games.
the mystery of the secret.
As you just saw, this was way over him simply saying that this type of game is not for him. As one of the biggest content creators on the planet, this kind of reaction can affect the entire VR ecosystem and how gamers perceive this type of games and even the technology behind it. If you are also an Asmon fan, you are most likely aware of his disinterest in VR. But I believe this is his most radical statement on this topic until now. And as a VR fan, I don't think it needs to be said that I felt offended by his statement, which compelled me to make this video in which I try to counter his opinion. I'm aware that being a nobody, my video will not have the same impact as his, but if just one person changed his mind about VR because of it, I will consider it 100% worth it. Now, VR and its games indeed have their own set of problems. I'm not here to say that they are perfect and no one should find any fault with them. From being heavy, having low battery power, making some people motion sick, requiring some space in order to not destroy your home or injure yourself, to having fewer high quality games and often requiring a powerful PC in order to experience them, the list can go on and on. But I wish to remind you that flat screen games also have their own problems. Poor optimization, political messaging in AAA titles, copy-paste experiences that have almost no innovations compared with your typical open-world game, over-reliance on microtransactions, and bloated content mean to allow them to say that the game is over X hours in order to justify the constantly increasing prices. I'm not trying to tell you which is better or has more problems, but as someone who enjoys both, I would like you to try and see them as different ways of gaming with their own positives and negatives. The reason I got so frustrated hearing Asmon's opinion is that he essentially compared the entire VR gaming ecosystem to the kind of low-effort, politically charged content promoted by some DEI activists who imply that this is the direction gaming as a whole should take, and this could not be farther from the truth. The VR gaming scene is supported by passionate developers who are willing to work on harder projects while most likely receiving less money than flat-screen developers. You don't need to take my word for it. Just a quick search on the internet will tell you about the extra problems that need to be accounted for in the process of creating a VR game. And after all that work, because the number of VR gamers is much smaller than flat-screen gamers, the sales they can expect will obviously be much lower as well. I'll admit that the majority of VR games are still short experiences, often aimed at younger kids. However, now more than ever, we're also seeing high-quality titles that can stand toe-to-toe with their flat-screen counterparts, delivering surreal, immersive experiences you simply won't find anywhere else. From titles like Resident Evil Village, the PSVR 2 version of Hitman World of Assassination, Resident Evil 4, Batman Arkham Shadow, Gran Turismo 7, Metro Awakening, and Behemoth, to highly anticipated upcoming releases like Reach, Thief Legacy of Shadow, and Deadpool VR. No matter what type of games you usually play, there's almost certainly at least one title that if you give it a chance will change your perspective on VR forever. And if that still isn't enough, and you happen to have a beast of a PC, there is also the option to play traditionally flat-screen games in VR using the UEVR mod injector. It allows you to step into the worlds of Atomic Heart, Hogwarts Legacy, Palworld, and thousands of other titles, all while supporting full 6 degrees of freedom for a much more immersive experience. You can also dive into No Man's Skies in VR, or elevate Skyrim VR and Fallout VR by adding hundreds of mods, turning them into immersive, highly engaging gameplay masterpieces. I know how frustrating it can be when a game from your favorite franchise suddenly launches as a VR exclusive. I'm not saying platform exclusivity is a good thing. In an ideal world, flat-screen games would also include a native VR support, and VR games could be played on flat screen for those times when you just don't feel like putting on a headset. But I don't know when or if such times will come. What I'm trying to say is that VR gaming isn't part of some movement to undermine or replace the flat-screen gaming market. It's not like the push we've seen in recent years from some DEI activists promoting politically charged, unpolished, and often uninspired games as the future of the industry. I don't really know how to fully convey the appeal of VR to someone who hasn't experienced it firsthand. Instead, let me share a childhood memory that came rushing back when I started playing action VR games. I can't be the only one who, while riding in a car through open areas like fields or countryside roads, used to imagine a ninja or superhero character leaping from one electricity pool to the next, performing flips and cool acrobatics along the way. I could spend minutes, even hours, lost in that imaginary scene without even getting tired. Now, I am that character. VR has allowed me to step into the shoes of countless heroes, flying, gliding, wall running, swinging from a grappling hook, and experiencing things I could never do in real life. For me, it's more than just playing a game. It's about becoming part of fantastical worlds in a way that flat-screen gaming simply can't replicate. I hope this video helped explain why I believe Asmongold is wrong about VR, and maybe even encourage some of you to give it a try. Let me know in the comments what you think about VR gaming and the technology behind it. If you'd like to hear more from me, consider subscribing to the channel. Hope to see you next time. Goodbye.